The first thing I noticed about my new neighborhood was how still it felt. Unnaturally still. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like eyes are following from behind perfectly clipped hedges, as if someone is gripping a clipboard like it's a security blanket. Still, I was hopeful. New job, new home, and finally my dream car. A sleek midnight blue sports coupe I'd spent years saving for. Pulling into that driveway felt like my life had finally hit upgrade mode. I hadn't even finished unloading the first few boxes when I heard heels sharp, rapid clicks on concrete approaching with the intensity of an oncoming storm. I turned just as a middle-aged blonde in oversized sunglasses and a designer cardigan marched up my driveway with the confidence of a tax inspector. "Hi, you must be the new resident," she said, voice flat and nasal. "I'm Karen, president of the Willow Creek Hoa." Of course, she was. I offered a polite nod. "Nice to meet you. I'm Alex." She ignored my hand and instead pointed a perfectly manicured finger straight at my car. "That vehicle is not approved." I blinked. "Approved?" "Yes," she snapped. "We have aesthetic standards. Only neutral colors. White, gray, beige, not whatever that is." "That is blue," I said helpfully. "I'm aware." Her nostrils twitched. Inside my skull, warning alarms fired off. This woman was going to be trouble. I kept my voice steady. "The car is registered, insured, and staying. If there's an actual document with restrictions, feel free to send it." Her lips tightened. She'd just bitten into a lemon. "You'll regret this attitude. We maintain order here." She pivoted and stomped away, heels stabbing the pavement with every furious step. I let out a shaky laugh, brushing it off. Everyone has that neighbor, right? But later that night, as I admired the smooth curve of my car under the porch light, I spotted a small white slip tucked under the windshield wiper. A parking violation notice. In my own driveway. My blood simmered. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe Karen thought she was being helpful. But deep down, I already knew this was just the opening act. Morning arrived with sunshine, birdsong, and another violation slapped onto my windshield. Bright red letters screamed, "Second warning, non-compliant vehicle." I hadn't even lived here 48 hours. Before I could rip the paper off, Karen materialized beside me as if she'd sprouted from the perfectly groomed bushes. "You ignored the first notice," she said. "No hello, no good morning. Just pure judgment." "I'm in my own driveway," I reminded her. "I checked the Hoa handbook online last night. There's nothing in there about car colors." Her smirk stretched. "The digital copy is outdated. I keep the real one." She tapped her clipboard like it was a weapon and leaned in. "Sell the car, repaint it, or keep it hidden in your garage. Final warning." I forced a calm smile. "Karen, with all due respect." "No," she cut in sharply. "With all due respect, Alex, this isn't optional. Rules exist for a reason." She slid her sunglasses down her nose and gave me a look like I was gum stuck to her designer Louboutins. Then she strutted off. By afternoon, two friendly neighbors wandered over, dropping passive-aggressive hints. "That shade of blue is bold," one said. "You must not understand our culture here," the other murmured. I started realizing Karen ran this place like a dictator who hosted bake sales. Still, I wasn't letting her intimidate me. I photographed every notice and emailed the Hoa board directly, attaching screenshots of the online rules page. I felt pretty proud until evening rolled around. Headlights swept across my driveway. A tow truck. I sprinted outside. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" The driver shifted uncomfortably. Hoa placed a relocation request. Said this car's in violation. Karen's voice echoed from the street like a crow screeching on cue. "That car is a blemish on this community." My pulse thundered. The driver wouldn't lower the car unless the Hoa president approved it. Karen simply folded her arms, beaming with smug satisfaction. So I did the only thing I could. I stood in front of the tow truck, blocking its path. "You'll have to run me over first," I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. Karen's smirk faltered for half a second before she spun around and hissed, "This isn't over." The truck backed away. I'd won barely. But the way she stared at my car as she left. It felt like she was plotting something worse. It happened at 3:12 a.m., you know, that moment when a dream snaps apart with a single sound. For me, it was the sharp, gut-punch crack of shattering glass ripping through the still night. I shot upright, heart hammering. Another crash. Then a car alarm. My car alarm, screaming through the darkness. I bolted outside barefoot, adrenaline carrying me over the freezing pavement. There she was, Karen, a baseball bat in hand, her face twisted with triumph as shards of my driver's side window glittered around her feet like sinister confetti. "What the hell are you doing?" I yelled, voice cracking. She swung again before I reached her. A sickening metallic thud. My dream car, the thing I'd worked years for, dented under her rage. "This," she spat, pointing the bat at the blue paint. "This monstrosity is destroying property values. I'm fixing the problem you refuse to fix." I grabbed the bat mid-swing, ripping it from her grip. "Are you insane? You can't destroy my car because you don't like the color." Karen stumbled back, shrieking as if I had attacked her. "You assaulted me. You all heard it. He's dangerous." She spun in wild circles, pleading to an invisible audience. The neighborhood slept on, unaware. My voice trembled with fury. "I'm calling the police." "Oh, please," she scoffed, tossing her hair. "I am the law around here." But I was already dialing. Her smug smile flickered for the first time. The officers arrived faster than I expected, red and blue lights washing across every immaculate lawn. Karen rushed toward them dramatically, clutching her wrist like she was auditioning for a low-budget soap opera. "He attacked me. I was protecting our community," she wailed. But when the police turned to me, I pointed at the shattered glass, the dented metal, the unmistakable bat marks. They didn't even need my security footage, though I gladly offered it. Karen's fake tears evaporated the moment an officer told her to turn around. The click of the handcuffs was glorious. "This is a misunderstanding," she snapped. "I am the HOA president. Release me." But the officers didn't budge. As they escorted her to the cruiser, she twisted just enough to glare at me through the window, pure venom burning in her eyes. "You'll regret this," she mouthed. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't the finale. It was the escalation. Karen was bailed out by morning. Naturally, I woke to the sound of angry voices outside. When I stepped onto the porch, a cluster of neighbors stood gathered at the end of my driveway, whispering and glaring like I was the one who had shattered the tranquility of their suburban utopia. At the center stood Karen. No shame, no remorse. Just oversized sunglasses and a smug smirk, like she'd resurrected herself stronger than ever. She held up a glossy printout, a zoomed-in still frame from my camera footage, cropped so tightly that the moment I grabbed the bat looked like I was the attacker. "This man is a threat to our community," she declared. "The HOA has voted to fine him for aggressive behavior and vehicle violations. Fines plural." I approached slowly, voice steady and cold. "You destroyed my car. You were arrested. I have the full footage." She leaned in just close enough for only me to hear. "And I have influence." That word struck like poison. The week that followed became psychological warfare. Daily fines shoved under my door. $200, then $500, then $1,000, all labeled non-compliance and community disruption. Neighbors ignored me entirely. Sprinklers mysteriously activated whenever I walked past. Anonymous emails told me to leave while you still can. One evening, as I documented the newest damage, deep, intentional scratches carved into my hood, a neighbor approached. Not to harass me, but to warn me. "You don't know what she's capable of," he whispered, eyes darting. "Karen ran off 3 families before you. She doesn't lose." "Well," I said, tightening my grip on my phone, "she hasn't met me." I was done playing defense. I filed insurance claims, contacted a lawyer, and attached every shred of evidence. Timestamps, recorded conversations, the full footage of Karen going full demolition derby on my car, even the tow truck stunt. My lawyer nodded slowly. "We're going to bury them." Finally, the big moment arrived, a notice for a mandatory HOA hearing. The perfect stage. Karen wanted war. She'd accidentally handed me the battlefield. The community center buzzed with harsh fluorescent lights, as if even the bulbs were anticipating a showdown. Folding chairs formed a semicircle around a long table where the Hoa board sat rigid and judgmental. And right in the center sat Karen, chin high, confidence radiating from every overplucked eyebrow hair. I sat across from her, lawyer beside me, a neatly stacked folder of evidence resting calmly on the table. The room hushed. Someone cleared their throat. Mr. Alex, a board member started. We've received multiple actually my lawyer interrupted smoothly. Before addressing those, we'd like to submit evidence. He set a USB drive and a thick packet on the table. This includes vandalism, harassment, falsified citations, unlawful tow requests, and the physical destruction of property, all committed by your Hoa president. A ripple of shocked whispers moved through the room. Karen's smile twitched like it was fighting for survival. This is ridiculous. He's manipulating. The board chair lifted a hand. We will review the footage. The screen flickered on. There it was. Karen gleefully smashing my car windows like some unhinged suburban rock star. Then the tow truck scene. Her threats. She forged evidence. Every swing, every lie, every abuse of power laid bare. When the lights came back on, Karen looked small, like the illusion around her had finally shattered. The board stared at her as if seeing the monster she'd been hiding in plain sight. We hereby remove Karen from her position as Hoa president, effective immediately, the chair announced. Furthermore, you will be held personally responsible for all damages and legal fees. Karen shot up, voice cracking. No, you can't do this. I am this community. But security was already guiding her toward the exit. The neighbors she once commanded now avoided her gaze like she was toxic. Halfway to the door, she spun back, eyes burning with disbelief. You ruined everything, she hissed. I remained steady. No, Karen, you did. A month later, my car was completely repaired, upgraded, actually thanks to the settlement. Karen's house sat empty, a for sale sign out front. The Hoa bylaws had been rewritten with actual sanity. I slid behind the wheel of my newly restored midnight blue coupe, the engine humming like pure satisfaction. Welcome to the neighborhood, indeed. If you enjoyed that win, hit like, because every act of courage deserves backup. Subscribe, so you're here when justice strikes again. And tell me in the comments, if your neighbor crossed the line, how would you respond?